What's up guys, Duarte here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to do the first tier list for the Doom Raid, taking a look at every single tech character and rank them based on their utility on that specific raid and on the possibilities of making a team out of those characters, their advantages and so on. So this video might be a little bit longer than usual, but on the other versions or the update versions of these videos they might be a little bit shorter than this one. And like always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content and make sure you smash that like button. Also, tell me in the comments if you prefer videos without my beautiful face because like this we have more real estate to work on the videos and so on. Okay, so let's get started, and I'm gonna explain what we have in front of our eyes. So on the left we have the tier list. It goes from F to S. S is like the most incredible characters ever, which are useful everywhere. Once again, the content in question is the Doom Raid 1, the first strike, and we have the first wave of the tech characters of the boss node, and I chose the boss node that was the hardest. That's the one that has more relevance, of course. So on the upcoming videos on the other traits, so this one is the tech one, on the next ones it will always be the strongest boss node that is available. And we have the characters that are available for us to use. These ones right here, these ones are the two waves on that boss node, the hardest node available. And once again, the tier list based on how good these characters are for that specific node. And of course this is not like 100% standard or anything like that, so we'll see. Okay, so let's take a look at the first character that we have available right here. We'll go a little bit faster through the minions and then we'll see about the other characters. So first we have the aim assaulter, and this character is not terrible. He has okay stats. The problem is that he's a minion, so he doesn't have ultimate ability, and his stats are okay, but the character that boosts most of his stats is Bio, which is Graviton, so he's not gonna have the most stats in order to use on this node. And because he does mostly single target damage, he's super fast, but overall he's not that great. And because once again his teammates are not on this part, then we have to move him away somewhere else. So in terms of tier list for his utility on this specific event, I would put him like at E tier. It's not like he's a bad character, he's just not good enough compared to what we have or the enemies we are facing. Okay, so now we are going to do the same for aim security. She's okay, but once again no Graviton, so no boost in stats and damage, so she's just borderline okay, and she doesn't do much. She's very slow, she's very tanky, but the other abilities that she has are not that great. Okay, now we have other characters. Let's see, let's take care of the minions first. Now we have this Ravager right here. The Stitcher is terrible, he's completely useless here, so let's keep him here. Now we have, let's take a look, Nebula, she does okay single target damage, she has okay utility with her dodges and with her counters and so on, but she doesn't have the stats. She's a very old character and she has no team synergy, so I'm gonna put her on E. I don't think she's as bad as Teacher, but of course she's not great. Now we have the Ravager Boomer. Oh, come on, work with me. Okay, circle this time. So is terrible as well. Not as terrible as Teacher. He does okay damage, but he is not going to do much here on this raid. Now let's take a look at Minion Sniper, Mercenary Sniper. He's going straight to the F tier. He does okay damage, but once again, single target damage, that's not great. He provides no utility for the team, so he doesn't do anything special. And the same goes for the Oracle, Kree Oracle. Pretty bad. He's terrible healer, and he's not great on his own team. And here, as a tech character, he's not going to provide much as well, so he's going to come down here. Then we have the Kree Cyborg. Now, the Kree Cyborg, he does okay damage. The problem is that he needs characters that give taunt, and we don't have that many characters that do taunt, if any. So here we only have one Rhino, and that's on the second wave. So for the most of the node, this guy is going to be pretty much useless or irrelevant because none of his abilities will activate. You could still consider, like, if you had let's imagine, this is pure craziness, of course, crazy speculation, but if you had 7 red stars, 7 yellow, gear tier 15 Kree Cyborg, which I don't know why would you have, but if you had, maybe he would be able to kill the minions of the Doombots and of the Doctor Doom, and then provide tons of energy to your team. Maybe in that situation he would be okay, but even so, even at 7 reds and so on, I don't think he would be that great. Now let's take a look at the Hydra minions. The Hydra minions, they are not terrible, but they have the same problems with the A minions, is that their teammates, not all of them are tech. We have a few right here. We have the either armored guard or something. Then we have the one that applies slow, the grenadier. Then we have this one with the trooper, and then we have the sniper. So most of them are damage dealers, which is okay, but in terms of utility they don't provide much. The combos they do, they are not that great without Red Skull. So yeah, Red Skull is bio, so they say they have the same problems as the AIM characters, which they need the Graviton to have more stats and to have more combos. So based on that, it's not like they are terrible, but they are not that great for this specific node. And I would even say, like, for example, the sniper is even worse than most of them, or the trooper, because yeah, they can get revived. They do like their combo maybe once or twice. I'll leave them on E tier for now, but maybe they are even worse than that. And now we have, let's take a look at this guy right here, Korath. Korath, he's okay. You know, he's not okay. He's trash. And let me think. So he needs villains to assist him. He has that slow. He applies taunt. Are we going to benefit out of that taunt? On the first wave, not really. The slow, it's okay, but it's single target damage, one source of single target slow. It's not great either. So E, maybe not, maybe even F. He doesn't have any way to boost his stats because he's not together with Ultimus. So yeah, maybe even F. Maybe he's worse than the AIM minions and the Hydra minions. Because the Hydra minions, at least you have several of them, and the A minions you have Scientist Supreme. So yeah, I think for the Kree it's even worse than the Hydra and A minions. Okay, so now we have some more interesting characters, and let's talk about them. And the first character I want to talk about is probably Crossbones, and Crossbones right now is not terrible, but without the Baron Zemo is not that great, and because of that I'm gonna leave him on the D or F or E. I think I have to leave him at E because yeah, he really needs those boosts that he gets from Baron Zemo, and because Baron Zemo is a skill character they cannot be together. So yeah, he is not very useful without those buffs, and even with the buffs it's not like he's a game-breaking character by any means. Okay, so that guy stays there, and now let's take a look at one of our best characters, Ultron. Okay, so in terms of Ultron, tech character has no red stars, so that's already a problem because he has no red stars. And then again we have Black Bolt on the first wave, on the second wave, and on the third wave. So because Ultron is a summoner, this becomes a huge problem because he'll always get disrupted. He'll not get the buffs that we need Ultron to have, so he gets this energy machine going on with his ultimate, and we can make Ultron a little bit more useful with Scientist Supreme because she can apply negative effects to him and then to flip that around and turn it into positive effects, and like that we can start the Ultron engine. The problem is that this takes so long, and because once again it doesn't have red stars and doesn't have any way to boost his HP, he can be at a huge danger and die way faster than we need him to die. So, and once again no, it's first time I say, but he's a tech villain character, so he's taking even more damage from Black Bolt, and if he dies at the hands of Black Bolt he cannot be revived. So yeah, based on that, like, he is not a terrible option for the other boss that is a little bit easier than this one on the Doom Raid, but on this specific node I would probably have to put him at D tier because he has all these problems like tech villain, summoner. He's not able to run his combo easily with Black Bolt around. And we also have Doctor Doom applying Disrupt to him, so that's many situations that can make Ultron terrible. And even that he's a summoner, and usually summoners are a good thing because they provide those decoys and buffs and so on. In this specific case, he's not that great. So for now we are going to leave him on D tier. It's not like he's utter garbage, but he's okay. And yeah, so let's take a look at the next character, and the next character we have available is Rocket, or the character I want to talk about is Rocket. Rocket is okay. The boost he gets from his allies, which we have here, which is Star-Lord, is the only ally that we have available. It's damage and speed. Based on that, Rocket is not great because he has low HP, he's not able to provide much. He does okay damage if he's together with someone that provides him energy and so on. So in my opinion he has to be between E and F. I'm probably going to put him at F because once again, like, having no HP, having those crappy stats and being dependent on other characters is not something good. So just in terms of damage he's already dependent on Star-Lord, and that's not great. So even that he's a tech hero, that's okay, but it's not relevant enough to make him better than F tier. Like maybe E tier, but I'm really more in looking for the F tier because he's so dependent, he's so old meta, and I don't think he's relevant enough right now. Okay, so now that we talk about Rocket, let's talk about Star-Lord. And Star-Lord is a different story. He's a hero tech, which makes him great. He will take less damage from Black Bolt, but he's kind of squishy. He has no HP boost or anything like that from any characters that we have available here. And The thing about Star-Lord is that his special applies that blind to the enemies, and that's very important for this specific node. As you guys can see, we have Black Bolt, we have Doctor Doom, we have Dr. Octopus, we have Vulture, we have all these characters that they are affected by blind, and blind is actually a really strong effect against them. The problem with Star-Lord is that he doesn't have the stats to come along, and many people think that Star-Lord has fallen behind on the meta, and to a degree I agree with that, but not that much. So one thing that makes Star-Lord very useful is when we have characters like Hela that can spread the negative effects around, and unfortunately we don't have any character that does that, so we cannot use Star-Lord as much as he would be useful for. But I still think he's a decent character. I'm not sure if he's B tier or C tier. I'm gonna place him on B tier because he's so strong against Black Bolt and Doctor Doom and Doctor Octopus and so on. Like, he's so strong against all those characters. He just doesn't have the stats right now. But hopefully with the new Thor movie, the Blood and Thunder or whatever, we'll have some cameo of the Guardians, and with that maybe we'll get a rework on Star-Lord and his buddies, and they become a little bit more useful and with more stats. But for now I think I will leave Star-Lord at B tier, once again because the blind is so powerful and because he can apply blind to multiple targets. Even that people think that he's out of the meta and so on, I still think he's a very important character, and the fact that he still provides energy, so on, like he has so many powerful effects that you just start to ignore. So I'm gonna leave him at B tier for now. Okay, next character, let's take a look at Merc Lieutenant. Merc Lieutenant, one of my favorite minions, is really strong. He provides a lot of useful effects. Speed up, offense up, energy, and some minor healing. The problem is that he's a minion, villain tech, and that's not great. That's definitely not great. He doesn't have any way to get more HP, which is another problem. So it's not like he's terrible. He's okay, like speed up and offense up is always good. More focus and more damage. The problem is that, I don't know. I'm gonna place him maybe on D tier for now, but it can go up in the future. Depends. We need to think about this a little bit more, I guess. It's just hard to tell right away some of these characters because we have to see all the synergies that come along. Okay, now let's take a look at Yellow Jacket. Now I find Yellow Jacket a very interesting character for this event or for this node. If you have him at decent red stars, 4 or higher, preferably 5. The problem, like always, is that he's villain tech and we are facing Black Bolt and so on. But because we have the bots from Doctor Doom and we have the bots from Dr. Octopus, that can allow Yellow Jacket to do a nice amount of damage with his ultimate and also buff Beam Tech and Villain Tech allies. Right now we don't have many Villain Tech at a decent point, but the amount of damage he does is quite nice, and the fact that he can steal 30% max health of anyone is quite amazing when we are trying to get rid of characters like Doctor Doom or Black Bolt or something like that. So if we have a way to provide him with energy, and if he has a decent red stars and so on, he can do some interesting things. The problem is that I think his HP is way too low to be relevant, and the only character that gives him more HP, but it's only on Dark Dimension, is Stature, and Stature is a bio character. So I'm gonna leave him on C tier. He has some potential, he's just not there right now, and it's something we have to review once again on next month if we figure out some way to use this character a little bit better or not. Okay, so now since we talk about Yellow Jacket, let's talk about this girl right here, Wasp. And Wasp, she's hero tech, she does stun, she does AoE damage to all the enemies, but she doesn't provide much beyond that. She has very low HP, all the Pim Tech has very low HP, so I don't think she's very relevant. So I'm gonna place her on E tier because I just think she doesn't provide enough to be relevant, and unfortunately, yeah, has to be the case. You can apply stun to Doctor Doom or to Black Bolt and Falcon, and that's okay, but it's just not relevant enough. And once again, HP really matters here, and characters that have very low HP or have no way of boosting their HP are not going to be relevant enough. So we have a few more characters. Let's take a look at another Pim Tech character, Ghost. Ghost, she is very decent. She has a very high chance of dodge. She has the chance of counter. She can apply negative effects to the enemies. She can extend negative effects on the enemies. She can turn rewind the enemies. So she's one of those characters that I think are very powerful. I don't think she's S tier because once again she has very low HP, and that's a huge problem here, and she is villain tech, so I'm gladly placing her on A tier. I think that's going to be fair with all that she provides, with the self-sustain and dodges that she has. She's just not good enough to be S tier. But I'm glad to make her the first A tier character. And now let's take a look at another Pim Tech character, this guy right here, Ant-Man. And Ant-Man hero controller, so do we have any Ebonimo around? Nope. The problem with this guy is that he doesn't provide much, low HP, like always. He does the assists, he does ability block, he does slow to all the enemies, but his stats are kinda low, and his gear cost is low, so we can easily get him to gear tier 15, and that's nice. I'm just not sure if he provides enough. He can steal positive effects from the enemies, that's good as well, but the low HP and so on, I just think it's not enough. So even that he could be a C tier character, I'm gonna leave him on D tier for now, because the other characters that he has synergy along, I mean, we have Yellow Jacket and Ghost, but I think he's just not enough, and he has that combo with Stature, which is very nice, but Stature is a bio character, so she's not available here. So yeah, I think I will have to leave him at D tier for now. Okay, now let's take a look at Vision. And Vision is a very interesting character, but once again he has the problem that he has no stats. No HP, he's hero controller, so that's nice. He starts with defense up, that's nice. He applies offense down to the enemies, he removes positive effects from the enemies. That's all nice, he has that dodge chance, but I think I have to place him on D tier or even lower. I'll leave him on D tier just for his utility, but his stats are so low, he's so irrelevant on today's meta. And I don't remember exactly his cost, but he's definitely higher than 2. And based on all that, I'm just leaving him on D tier for his utility. Beyond that, I don't think he's relevant enough. Maybe if you have a really high Vision, like 7 red stars or 6, maybe he would be C tier, but without that, I don't think he is good enough to be any higher than that. So now let's take a look at some other characters. Let's take a look at the power armor characters. The power armor characters, they are not terrible. They have some HP boost. They are all hero tech characters, so it's not terrible. The problem is that they don't have good sustain, but of course we could always fix that with some other healer character. and that would be interesting. But let me think just a little bit. So we have the shield, we have a minor amount of HP, like the HP is just not enough. Now, rescue, she can remove the buffs. She just has very low energy. I mean, she's not terrible, but to invest on power armor for this, it would be a little bit strange. So let's I'm gonna leave her here for now. She's not terrible. She has some utility. She provides offense up, immunity, and so on. So she's not terrible. But let's leave her here for now on D tier, because most of their buffs come from Alliance Wars, and that's not great. So let's just leave there for now. And we are going to do the same about Ironheart, because she, once again, she has some utility. She applies that defense down, which can provide tons of damage. Her special is okay with ability block and turn rewind, and her passive also provides some stats to her team, which is all tech heroes. I'm just not sure if it's enough, or if it's a one-trick combo that we can use on the first try on the node, get rid of some of the enemies and then come up with the other team. So yeah, it's not like they are terrible, they are okay. I just think it's not enough. Now, in terms of Iron Man, unfortunately this guy is terrible. He's a legendary, but he's so bad that he's not F tier, or maybe he is. I don't even know. Like, he does okay damage with his special, but it's not actually that much. And his ultimate is single target damage. His basic is okay, nothing special. I don't know, like, I'm gonna give him E tier just because he gets the stat boost from all the other characters. Because beyond that, I don't think he's way better than E tier. Okay, now we have let's go for more power armor characters. We have War Machine, and War Machine does okay damage. He does tons of damage with his basic, special, and ultimate, but he's quite expensive. I think I'm gonna put him here on D tier. He is okay. He applies offense down, but in terms of utility, he doesn't provide that much. And because of his passive, applying taunt to some characters, that can be a problem sometimes if you are trying to focus out some character and the minions get a little bit too low rather than the other characters. But the damage is still good, so I'm gonna keep him on D tier. But because he does so much damage to multiple targets, but he's not far away from E tier. He's just a little bit better than the characters that we have on E tier. Okay, so let's take a look at some other characters. Let's take a look at okay, let's take a look at one good character, and then we'll finish with the power armor. Let's take a look at Dr. Octopus, because he's going to open some doors for some other characters. So Dr. Octopus is a summoner, so that's already a problem. He's a tech villain, that's already another problem. But he provides immunity to offense down to the entire team. He applies 40% max HP to all Sinister 6 characters. He provides slow, he can flip positive into negative effects on the enemies. He provides lots and lots of healing. He provides one decoy. He doesn't get many buffs like Ultron does. He doesn't require any special situation to do a combo. So he's one very powerful character, and because he opens the door for many other characters on the Sinister 6 that are tech villain, I'm gonna place him on A tier. I don't think he's good enough to be S tier because he has all those problems as being a tech villain and so on. But I think he's definitely worth the A tier, and And yeah, like he has huge amount of stats. He also gives stats to himself. He's not dependent on other characters and so on. So yes, even that he's not the best against Black Bolt, he's not as terrible as Ultron against Doctor Doom and Doctor Octopus and so on. So for now we are going to leave him on A tier. And let's take a look at Falcon. Falcon, he has block chance on his own, so that's some survivability. He does okay amount of damage, nothing special. His special does that turn rewind that is quite amazing depending on how many buffs the enemies has. That can give you one extra turn. It's very good. He's a hero tech character, that's good as well. He has some survivability, so he's quite decent. Is he good enough to be B tier? No. Is he good enough to be C tier? Probably not. Is he good enough to, is he bad enough to be on D tier? I'm not sure. He's between C tier and D tier. And the reason why I'm gonna leave him on D tier is because he's so dependent on having the other power armor characters together. If we had like Falcon, Rescue and Ironheart in the same team, I would probably place them all at C tier, but on their own I think they are no better than D tier. So it's not like they are terrible, it's just that they are okay. Not good enough. And yeah, like they have some mitigation and so on, some self-sustain, but not that great. And their utility is lackluster for most part. Okay, so now let's take a look at Shuri. Shuri, the queen of the raids, queen of Wakanda, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know much about Wakanda, but she provides that early defense up, and that can be very useful, especially for the first turns. But then it becomes a little bit of a problem because we are facing the Dr. Octopus. If you don't get rid of him fast enough, the defense up can be flipped into defense down. But she provides the energy, that's always good. She provides some healing. As far as I can see, we don't have any characters that apply heal block. Let me see. No, I don't see any characters that apply heal block. So she'll be able to provide some healing. She is able to apply ability heal block on the enemies. That's very useful as well. So we have energy, healing, defense up, and heal block. Is she A tier? Is she B tier? I'm not sure exactly. I think I'm gonna leave her on B tier because her stats are a little bit low, and while she provides some utility, is not that much. And the energy is nice, but it's very random. And I mean, she provides the deflects. Ah, man. But we also have Dr. Octopus providing deflects, so it's not like super crazy. I'm gonna keep her on B tier, but this is something that we have to review in the future because she's not terrible. She's okay. Defense up, deflects. It's just her stats are very low, and even with the HP boost that she gives to herself is just not enough right now to be relevant. Okay, so now let's take a look at a very famous character, Minerva. Now Minerva, villain tech, yikes. She doesn't have anyone providing stats to herself. She has a nice amount of stats, and we can use the bots from Doctor Doom and Doctor Octopus to feed on her passive and make her provide lots of healing. And that's okay. She steals 50% max health of the enemies, that's okay as well. But she relies a lot on having tons of energy, and if you don't have her maxed out, she might not be good enough. So, and because she's villain tech, she can revive characters, but because we are facing Black Bolt, that ability is not that relevant. So based on all that, I'm gonna leave her on C tier. She's okay. I think if there is some kind of career rework in the future or some new character, I think we might see her becoming more useful. But right now, I just don't think she's good enough to be higher than C tier for the Doom raids. Okay, so now let's talk about Shocker. And Shocker is an interesting character, but not for the reasons you might think of. The reason why Shocker could be an interesting character is because we are using Dr. Octopus and we have other Sinister 6 characters available. We could use Shocker and Vulture to enable Dr. Octopus to summon Rhino. I'm not sure if it's possible, but I think it is. I think it is possible to have Dr. Octopus, Shocker, Vulture, and then when Dr. Octopus summons the Sinister 6 ally, that summon is going to be Rhino, and Rhino is going to get tons of HP from his allies because he gets HP based on that. So it's not like Shocker is good on its own, but the fact that he opens this possibility can be very interesting. And if you have decent red stars on Shocker, he has no use in the meta right now outside of this specific raid. But this situation is just so interesting that I find it quite amazing. And because he gets 40% HP from Dr. Octopus, plus he applies offense up to the team, and he's able to get some block chance also from Dr. Octopus and so on, I'm going to leave him on C tier once again because he's able to. He will allow Dr. Octopus to summon Rhino, and Rhino is going to be a very interesting character in this situation because you can use his taunt to remove negative effects from the allies. You can use his taunt to force Black Bolt, Dr. Doom, and all these characters to focus on Rhino that you can resummon again after with all his cooldowns. So that's something very interesting. So it's not like Shocker is good on its own, but the fact that he can provide this situation, and he does tons of piercing damage and once again offense up to the entire team and so on. So it's not like he's pure garbage, it's just that he has no use outside of this specific raid of the Doom raid. So yeah, I see some possibility of this guy being useful. And I'm gonna leave him on C tier for now. I know this is gonna be controversial, but I think there is some possibility of this guy being useful based on what I just mentioned. So taking a look at Vulture, Vulture can provide turn rewind, tons of damage. He can get deflects on his own. He does okay damage, especially if the enemies have negative effects on them, and we can apply negative effects now with Ghost and also with the Dr. Octopus by flipping with his ultimate. So he's quite great. Turn rewind once again, and because he gets that 40% HP from Dr. Octopus, that makes Vulture a lot more consistent than outside of this team, because like before when we added the tech wing teams and so on, the problem with Vulture is he was just too squishy. But thanks to that extra 40% HP and the extra deflects and so on, this situation is not so problematic. So I'm gonna leave him on B tier, and that's also because we also need him to get Rhino for the summon of the Dr. Octopus. So we need Vulture, Vulture, Shocker, and Dr. Octopus to summon Rhino. That already limits our team a little bit. We are already wasting 3 of the 5 slots that we have, but there is some potential here. There is definitely some potential here that at least I'm feeling it. Okay, now we are going to take a look at Scientist Supreme, and Scientist Supreme, she can be amazing. The problem is that on the first wave we have a huge issue. And so Scientist Supreme, she applies offense down, defense down, and slow with her ultimate, and she flips negative effects into positive effects, which is great because once again we have Black Bolt applying Disrupt, and if you can turn that Disrupt into immunity, that will grant us 1 turn of not being worried about that. The problem is that she's villain tech, she doesn't have the best HP, she doesn't have anyone boosting her stats, and we can place her together with the Dr. Octopus, like adjacent to him. That will give her deflect and speed up. That's gonna be very, very useful. But it's like this: if Dr. Octopus enemy is not on the field, I would say she's A tier, but while Dr. Octopus enemy is on the field, I think she's just B tier. So I'm gonna leave her on B tier, but once again, she's between A tier and B tier. And she can revive characters, yes, but if they die at the hands of Black Bolt, neither her or Minerva can bring them back to life. So she's gonna be on B tier for now. And let's move on to the next character. We have Mysterio, and Mysterio is a very interesting character because we have so many possible Sinister Six allies being on the team. He can provide that blind, which is great against the Black Bolt, and he calls for assist of other Sinister Six allies, so that's very interesting. He applies heal block to many characters, and he's also able to remove positive effects from the enemies. He also gets the 40% HP from Dr. Octopus, and he also gets that block chance from Dr. Octopus as well. It's only 20%, it's not much. The thing about him is that he applies those early deflects, and if Dr. Octopus has those early deflects, maybe he can resist the disrupt from Black Bolt, and that's going to be very, very important. Now, Mysterio, he can also die and then revive with the minions. I know that's worked because I have tried out in a different situation. The problem is that if he dies by the hands of Black Bolt, he cannot be revived. Yes, he cannot be revived. So if it ends in a situation where Black Bolt kills Mysterio and he summons the two minions, you are better off having the two minions rather than try to revive him, because you lose one of those minions that way. So based on all that, I'm not sure if I want to leave Mysterio on C tier or B tier. I think he's better than Shocker, but I'm gonna leave him at I'm gonna leave him on B tier because of the blind and because of those early deflects. They are so huge. And Mysterio, he has decent stats on this team with Dr. Octopus. He's not terrible, and it will make the whole Sinister Six allies very, very strong based on all those deflects and all that. And the last two characters that we have available are Agent Coulson and Doctor Doom. So taking a look at Agent Coulson, he provides a lot of utility with his basic, doing the turn rewind on the enemies and so on. That's okay. And he's a hero tech, so he's not going to be affected as much by Black Bolt as the other characters, so that's okay as well. The problem is that his ultimate and his special are on such a high cooldown that I don't think he's useful enough. And because he doesn't have great stats outside of Alliance Wars, that's a huge problem as well. So while he provides some utility, I'm not sure if he's relevant enough. So I'm not sure, between D tier and E tier, probably E tier. Yes, he provides the utility from basic and so on, but the cooldowns are so long that I don't think it's relevant enough. If you would pair him with Star-Lord and Shuri, maybe, because of all the energy flowing, but all of these characters don't have great stats either, so it's like we would be sacrificing our characters way too early. So I think I have to leave him at E tier. It's not something I want, like maybe E tier, but he doesn't have the stats. He just doesn't have the stats, and the cooldowns are so long. He's so dependent on other characters to make him useful. He's really, really strong on short matches, but on long matches like raids and so on, he's just not good enough. So we are going to leave him on E tier. And finally, there was one, Doctor Doom. And Doctor Doom, let's take a look. Like, his stats are gigantic, and he's like 500 or 600 500 or 600 HP, depending if you have him with some Fantastic Four ally or not. He has tons of HP, he has tons of damage, he has tons of utility, he summons the bots and so on. So even that he's a tech villain character, and that's gonna be terrible because we have 3 black bolts on this specific node, we can deny his stats and his utility and so on. And with his ultimate he does some really cool things, and even that he has a very long cooldown, it's not the cooldown is not that big of a deal because the minions can provide him with the defense up, speed up and offense up. So that's nice. He can also provide energy to him or turn rewind to himself whenever he goes below 50% HP. So he's a quite powerful character. And if you have him paired up with other characters that flip negative effects or that can remove the disrupt from him or something interesting like that, his utility is going to be even greater. Now, in terms of placing him together with Star-Lord or Shuri or whatever, that's not going to be relevant enough because all of the minions will flood the field and you can't control the flow of energy. So in that regard it's not great, but I think he's the only character that we have available right now that has to be S tier because of all the mass stats that he has, the utility he provides, the fact that he can also clear the stuns and things like that from himself. It's just a mass amount of stats. He has all those decoys from the bots and so on. So yeah, I think this is the tier list that we have for now. You'll be able to find this on my Discord, link in the description. And yeah guys, this is going to be the first tier list for the Doom raids of all the characters we have available for each of those nodes. And hopefully it will help you to decide on which characters you want to focus on and gear up based on the current meta that we have available. According to the developers, these Doom raids are going to be extremely important because that's how you are going to be able to access ISO 8 level 2, the blue ISO 8s, and I'm sure that if ISO 8 level 2 is locked behind this raid, that ISO 8 is going to be extremely powerful. So yeah guys, that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button like a boss. If you found the information on this video helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content. Once again, you'll be able to find this tier list on my Discord, link in the description, and I will see you guys later.